I believe migration is one of the largest and complex phenomena of our time, either in Turkey or Mexico. It's quite complex. But the point is, we need to deal with that reality. I believe in law and the rule of law, and we need to find a way in which that natural or demographic phenomenon could be fit in terms of legal mechanisms.
But do you think in a way that Trump's boisterous, shocking rhetoric when it comes to immigration may in fact in the long run help Mexican immigrants and Mexicans in that this constituency has such levers of power that it can utilize to its benefit?
And I can say that, but let me give you one example. President Trump's son has a vineyard in the United States. And last year, he was asking to the American government to allow him to hire Mexican workers. And his argument was, I cannot find American workers to work in my vineyard, no? And that is happening with the American economy. Well, I can assure you, half of the workers in the agricultural sector are immigrants.
But what happens to these so-called dreamers? These people whose parents came from Mexico and other countries without documentation, the so-called illegal immigrants. The children of these people consider themselves American. They came to the country when they were toddlers, children. They've been allowed to stay under a plan that Obama put in place, which Trump has vowed to disrupt and to dismantle. What happens to them if they are deported back to Mexico, many of them? What should Mexico do?
First it's completely unfair to those kids. You cannot blame them about the situation. They have nothing to do with that. Now, they are part Mexican and part American. As you were saying, they consider themselves as American. Most of them, for instance, speak English, but maybe some of them don't speak Spanish. But going to that, Mexico should open its arms. We, the Mexicans, should open our arms to all those kids.
But all those kids, or should you look at them on an individual basis? Because we're talking about hundreds of thousands, 700, 800,000.
It's difficult.
The majority of them from Mexico. How do you take them in, though, without being sure of their Mexican citizenship?
Well, let me, one thing. There is a traditional joke in which you say, if somebody knows how to sing the national anthem, then he or she is Mexican. So that could be, well, of course, that could be the very same case with his or her passport, for instance. That is not the problem. It's a problem for the country to receive such an overwhelming number of people overnight, yes. However, first, Mexico needs to fight for those kids in the American Congress and in the American public opinion, and even in front of the American presidency. Second, if that is the case, that incredible unfair measure could be taken, we need to see that there will be a lot of downsides in this part, how to allocate them, how to receive them, where, with who. However, in my opinion, there could be some upsides to that. Because, it's my point, there are the best and the brightest, quite well-educated people, respecting the law, hard-working or hard-studying people, the best and the brightest. So the Americans are losing those kids, and they could be winning them.
Do you see it more as a Republican issue? Do you think Democrats would have carried on in the Obama tradition? And having said that, I should just point out that Obama himself actually deported a lot of illegal migrants.
He did, yes.
Very quietly, though. So is Trump being sort of singled out unfairly just simply because of his boisterous rhetoric, when the policy has been the same, pretty much?
Not to say, but there is a quite important thing. I respect any American president following or fulfilling his duty to enforce the law. It's quite difficult to us to understand that part, but I understand that. But what is completely unacceptable is the fact this flavor of a racism or anti-Mexican feeling, or blaming we the Mexicans about the problems of the American. I know there was a horrible economic crisis in 2008, 2009, because failures in the financial American system. But now Trump and other people pretend to blame the Mexican people about their own problems, and that's completely unfair. So in other words, I understand and I respect the right of any single government to enforce their own laws. We respect and we support the Mexican people who have human rights there, but which is completely rejectable is the fact to establish this flavor of racist, this flavor of anti-Mexican issues.
How do you see this issue being resolved, this immigration issue between the two countries?
You know, it's important to emphasize that the immigration ratio of Mexican workers to the United States since the year 2010 is either zero or negative, meaning there are more Mexican workers coming back to Mexico than the other way around. Of course, in politics, every time that we have election, they will raise the voice against the Mexicans because it's quite easy.
So do you think it's a lot of noise, but eventually there will be a solution in everyone's interest?
Sooner or later, the economic reality will impose itself. The problem is if you create a gap between the reality and demagogic speeches, the people in the United States or in Mexico will suffer a lot.
But do you feel that relations can be restored between the two countries? Because talking to a lot of Mexicans here, people really are angry.
You cannot live with a neighbor like Mexico, gaining hate and hate and hate. No, somebody needs to call the American society and government to rationality again. No? But meanwhile, well, we need to work on that. The damage is there, definitely, yes. But we cannot stop our activities. We cannot say, well, we have very bad luck and we had this terrible president as a neighbor, but we need to work on that. We need to continue. And let me repeat you, Trump will pass and we will prevail. We will stay here.